She's so happy. Way too happy. All right, I am calling the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask for a motion to let Trustee Borowski in to attend electronically because he's traveling on business, and then Trustee O'Reilly because she is sick tonight, to let her in and attend electronically. Can I have a motion to let both of them in?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee O'Connor and seconded by Trustee Michaud. Do we need to do a roll call? We probably
A voice vote is fine.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, you are officially in the meeting. Thank you. Bobby, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, great. All right. And Chris, we can hear you. So if we could all rise and say a pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Fascinating how we're so much more coordinated in person.
Wow. Okay. It's great to be here in person, and I hope we are able to continue this. The very first item on the agenda is the homeowners associations that are here tonight. Is anyone here from Prairie Trails? You're here.
I'm not Prairie Trails.
You're not Prairie Trails. Okay. You're Mark Downs from the Preserve. Anyone here from Prairie Trails, because it's first on my list? I think so. So, Mark, do you have anything to bring forward to the board?
Just two things. We're still working on water supply issues because we got the big mail from Lake County a year ago, and there's really only one solution. So Lake County is talking to Buffalo Grove and others, and we've got an engineer involved, and they're keeping track of it for us. So I don't anticipate that going anywhere anytime real soon, but it's still on our agenda. And then the only other thing is board turnover. We will have in August a completely new board. Ben Miller, I'll send a note to Sherry on this when it takes place, which will be in August. Ben Miller will be taking over as president. He's on the board now. He started a year ago, so we had some overlap. And I'm the last remaining, and I'll be stepping out, and it'll be a completely new board. So I need new blood in there.
Well, thank you for your service on that. So I'm sure that you've had a lot of things to deal with. Can only imagine. On the water, though, that's the radium. Is that what it is? Yeah, the same issue that we have.
It's called TNORM, technically engineered, naturally occurring radioactive material. Because we remove the radium, then we flush it, and then Lake County had to deal with it, and for 18 years or 20 years it was okay, and now it's not. So.
I actually think that we're going to have to take some action with Lake County because we're going to be penalized, and we just don't have the ability to connect all these communities via Lake Michigan water the way we're set up. So I don't know how we do that, but I think that's something we're going to have to address. We have it with our.
We should get proactive, yeah.
Yeah, we should be proactive. See if we can do anything to help. So, we're not going to solve it tonight. I just think we need to do something on it. And maybe there's some interim solutions that we can come up with that can help us all, so. Anything else?
No.
All right, well, thank you for your service. Thanks for being here tonight, too. We appreciate it. Any public comment tonight from anyone? We didn't receive any written public comment today, right?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, then the next item, we'll just keep moving along, and Ann's got a goal of an hour. We'll see how we do there. The village planners report. There was a written report. Taylor's here from the village of Mundelein as our backup planner here. Are there any questions regarding the report that was provided?
That's very easy to follow. Thank you.
There's no questions. I'll move on to the next item. Anyone, Chris, you have any questions? Or Bobby? No? Okay. All right, so the next item on the agenda is consideration of approval of resolution allowing the modification to the buildable area of 1143 Steeple View Drive, Lot 8. The Steeple View subdivision PUD it does allow for modifications. This is one where I think trying to protect the trees. They repositioned the house in a way to protect the trees. And it was, let's see, it was reviewed by, this was reviewed by what, the Plan Commission? Is that? And everyone said yes, it's all good?
They're protecting better trees.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Taylor.
Yeah, go ahead, Taylor.
Not reviewed by the Planning Commission. This is a matter that the PUD actually for Steeple View Estate has a little clause in there that carves out a process for this specific type of scenario. Actually, you might be familiar, last year there was a similar.
I do remember that, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that carve out in the planned unit development ordinance actually said that modifications to the building lot lines or buildable area of those, any lot in this subdivision does not require a public hearing process or go before the planning commission. It can be achieved through a resolution through this body.
Oh, that was it. It wasn't, you didn't review it, but you covered it in your report.
We reviewed it at
You
staff.
put it in your report, thank you.
Okay, got it.
I would make a motion.
Okay, so, moved by trustee Kritzmeyer, seconded by trustee Micho.
To approve a resolution allowing to modifications.
Yep, for the Steeple View Lot 8 subdivision. So, that's a roll call, or do we just do a voice vote again? Or in
No,
person?
me.
This, when we typically do as.
Go ahead, do a voice, can you do a voice call? Yeah, roll call, yeah.
Trustee Borowski,
Aye.
trustee Kritzmeyer,
Aye.
trustee Michaud. Aye. Trustee O'Connor.
I would just, I'm an aye. It would be nice, very nice, if the homeowner would plant a black cherry and a pin oak somewhere when all is said and done. Those are really nice trees.
Did I hear you correctly, a pin oak and a?
It's a black cherry, yeah, of the, you know, they would have been saved.
They're saving better trees.
It's just a request, you know.
Okay, so we have 3 ayes so far,
Aye.
right? 4 ayes, okay, who are we missing?
Trustee O'Reilly
Aye.
and trustee Lucy.
Aye. All right, motion carried, thank you. All right, Jeff, are you ready? You are the next one on the agenda with the village engineers report.
Okay, village engineering report, first time in a long time, so, hey, it was nice to see all you guys on Saturday.
Oh, can I say thank you again? Thank you for your hospitality, it was really nice.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
I'm glad it worked out for you guys, so.
And I sent an email to Mike Schraik, but he didn't respond, so did I have his correct email address?
Yeah, I did, so, I saw him yesterday, he was, buzzing around the office. So
Okay.
I didn't get to talk to
I
him.
thanked him as well, but he got a promotion too, right?
Yeah, he's, principal now at the company.
So he's fully running the company, owns the company, or what's the
Well,
difference?
He's one of the principals, he went on a different track, he's actually getting more into project management and oversight, which is his passion, always has been. Gentleman, Todd Gordon, is now the CEO of the company.
Okay,
Yep,
got
He's
it,
doing frontline field work more than back office admin.
exactly.
got it. Well, cool, thank you, and I did send him a note, so, if you see him in person again, just tell him thank you as well.
Absolutely. So I would be remiss to not acknowledge all of the Iowa State fans that are at this table, so that was awesome.
That's good table.
I mean, I'm Loyola, so,
All right, so the village engineers report, okay, so we've got, spring was here yesterday, went out today, but still looking to get Semple and the Robert Parker Coffin path finalized. As we talked about with the path, the landing area, we submitted, documents over to the state to increase the landing area at the northwest corner of the intersection. So as soon as we hear back from that, I'll be sure to forward that over to Greg, you'll forward it to, board members. Checker Road traffic calming, the public information meeting and input meeting is scheduled for April 12th, so we're putting together the packet for that. The road maintenance program.
Hey, Jeff, one
Yeah.
question. What's our notification plan to the community?
Oh, we're doing that on our end, trustee. It's going to be constant contact as well as social media and the webpage and the electronic news. We're gonna start immediately with tomorrow. Myself and Trustee O'Reilly and staff have a communications meeting with our comm team. And then, yeah, so that's how we'll be doing our outreach.
May I suggest notification to the HOA presidents in the surrounding area?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, the road program, that project was packaged up and sent over to the Illinois DOT for approval. We need to get their approval because we're using MFT and Rebuild Illinois funds. Unfortunately, they didn't get everything approved so that we could get a bid opening on March 31st. I did get word from them today that we're scheduled for a bid opening April 7th. So a week after we had initially planned, but still in enough time that we can get the bids, react to them, make a recommendation, and act and discuss on that at the April 12th meeting.
Do we have a time for that?
10 o'clock.
Thank you.
Okay, the Village Hall expansion, I don't have the schedule yet for the soil suitability. Contractor named Greenberg and Associates does that work. So for $500, go out here and take some soil borings and confirm that we have this beautiful Ashland silty clay loam. And if we do, that means expanding the septic or relocating it is going to be very difficult to do. But for $500, let's make sure the maps are right. So Greg authorized that, and we'll hopefully have that done next week. Okay, the award-winning bridge project. So on Friday, Trustee O'Connor and myself went down to Addison to the banquet hall and met with the American Public Works Association, the Chicago Metro chapter. Again, the Chicago Metro chapter is made up of 6 different branches in the Cook County and the Collier County areas. And we got the Project of the Year award for historical restoration and preservation, less than $5 million category. So the plaque is to the Village of Long Grove. Greg's got it, and I think he's going to put it right up there. Actually, you can't see it, but on the wall is a similar plaque that we got a year ago, or the village got a year ago for the road reconstruction project. So here we've got this one for the bridge, and then here in a couple, well, more than a few weeks, but on June 2nd, we'll get the award at the local branch level. So a little out of order, but good times had by all.
And Rita, you went to that? Did you go to that? You did, okay. Who else went to it, just out of curiosity?
We, off of the recommendations of the board at the previous meeting, I asked the HDLGBA president, he had a conflict with his schedule. The chair of the AC commission, the Architectural Commission, also had a conflict, and as well as Historical Society. I'll be reaching out. Jeannie Sylvester has accepted for the June 2nd, as well as Ryan Messner has accepted, and I'm waiting to hear back from the woman who's president of the Historic Society.
Jane Primer.
Jane, that's, I keep forgetting her name.
I left a message for her for didn't hear her.
Yeah, I didn't.
Sometimes she travels.
Yeah, we didn't get anything back, and then I'll attend that one on June 2nd as well.
Excellent. All right, thank you.
Then they have the national award.
Oh, national, so there's regional, national?
Still in the running?
Well, they haven't.
It was submitted, and we should hear in April the results of that one.
Do we get money out of this or something?
A lot of name recognition.
Okay, got it.
So
We get lots of name recognition for that bridge already.
Yeah, and I got a few emails trickling in.
I did yesterday, yeah.
Were you on it? No, you weren't on a different one probably.
No, I got from personal friends, you know.
Oh, I got
I
some.
have a friend who lives down in New Lenox at the south end of the area.
Got it. I'm still responding, so, yep. Go ahead, Jeff.
all right, jumping down to number 14 on the report. This goes back to the county's project that installed the traffic light at Old McHenry Road, Robert Parker Coffin. If you notice, we still don't have the light at the
Yeah,
westerly corner, maybe, right in front of Landmark. So the last correspondence I had with the county was that light would be delivered and installed in March, April. So I reached out to them, haven't got any feedback on that, but, as soon as I do, I'll let you know. But, hopefully that's sooner than later so we can get that, done up and that intersection looks beautiful and bright at night. Then just kind of jumping down to number 20, Ela Township was out yesterday and put some, I'll call it padding for lack of a better technical term, but under the transition plate on the west side of the bridge to help the banging between the bridge plate and the concrete abutment. So that'll both audibly help, but also structurally help with that, because over time, you know, the constant banging is neither good for the transition plate itself or the concrete. So
You test it out, does it work?
I did drive over it. I didn't hear any banging to the level that I did before. So you still hear the little thump as you go onto it, but I think that's part of the charm of the bridge.
Yeah, we should let Ben Finch know, so.
And then, lastly, I'll just hit on number 13. This is the Berm Project over at the Grove. The contractor was on site last week to do the remainder of the work. So I drove by, it looks pretty good. We're still waiting for two things. One, the as-built survey to confirm everything that looks good actually is good. And then once the trees hit leaf out, we'll have urban forest management go out there and take an inventory and look at the trees and their conditions and things like that before we'll call this one approved and move that into the 3-year maintenance period that the Grove is responsible for.
Great news.
Yep.
Speaking of urban forest, I know I'm adding to this length, but, Harbor Chase and Arborea, which is now New Inspiration or whatever.
New Perspective.
New Perspective, yeah. Is now the time to get really obnoxious about getting that landscape improved for over years?
I'm already being obnoxious.
Okay, good, thank you.
Well, there's a new executive director, right, that you connect with?
So we're, Jeff and I are working our schedules. I think next Wednesday we decided, we're gonna meet with, definitely with Harbor Chase, confirming with Arborea, and to, come off the tail, I sent it out in communication, but we were able to, secure that, previous settlement check too as well.
Good.
So, with, Harbor Chase. The Grove.
The Grove, you're mixing and matching, yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
I had something to say about the intersection in downtown. So, twice in the last 2 days, I've been sitting, and I've seen 2 people turn illegally on the red. And westbound Robert Parker Coffin and southbound Old McHenry, the signs are here, not across, so you can't see them when you're sitting. Like, if you pull up to the light, they're technically difficult to see. The other 2 directions, they're ahead of you. So is there any way we can flip the no right turn, so when you're at the intersection, it's across the intersection?
So if you're the first car, it's behind you.
Exactly.
Yeah, if I remember right, they did have it there and then moved it back, but I would say.
Well, can we add an extra one?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, okay, right. Put some additional signs.
Just an additional sign. Yeah, I can certainly make that request to the.
It was just like
Yeah.
twice in the last 2 days, every time I'm at the intersection, I'm like, you can't see it when you're sitting at that first position, so, I don't know, more signs.
Yeah, they're strapped to the mast pole, so it's not like you got another
Exactly.
pole around, so. Yep. Yeah, I'll follow up with the county on that. Absolutely.
Thank you, Jeff.
Go ahead, unless there's any questions.
Any questions
I have
for Jeff?
a question.
Go ahead, Bobby.
On Old McHenry Road, 3372, number 39, I see the word berm, and I'm wondering, what are we talking about, size-wise, and what's the temporary nature of it?
So they're putting a berm along the west side of their property. The berm is, I want to say 4, maybe 5 feet high. And they're using that, they, created a garden space, so they're putting the material over there, and then they're, hauling most of that off as part of the project.
Okay, so it's not a berm on Old McHenry.
Correct, yeah, it's tucked way back, I don't have a map of the,
Okay, it's, as long as it's not on Old McHenry and it's not 15 feet high, I'm okay.
Yeah, it's like 100 feet off of Old McHenry.
Yeah, it's an Old McHenry address, but it's off of a private road.
Charlie Watts' house was,
Oh, okay. Any other questions?
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Bobby. All right, we're gonna move right along. The next item on the agenda is consideration, approval of a special events application for the HDLGBA. It's their, craft beer fest. It'll be held on April 30th in the Stemple parking lot. Any questions?
I
Not,
do
I'm
have a
looking for a motion.
question. Chris
Sure, go
has a
ahead, Chris.
question.
Yep.
I saw the drawings with the tents and the new parking lots. I'm sure it's probably been thought through, and I'm probably sure the tents are being attached to the parking lot without poking holes and stakes through a new pavement. Have we reviewed how those tents are going to be actually mounted? Is there any issue there?
They're not gonna be anchored into the asphalt.
Okay, they're not gonna be anchored into the asphalt.
Okay,
They haven't in
thanks.
the past, but just do the double check.
Yeah, I'll do a double check.
Yeah, they haven't in the past though. Although they could very easily, it was very porous
Thank you.
before. Yep, thank you.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? It could have easily put a stick through there. Right.
Right. Does somebody want to make a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Kritzmeyer,
second.
seconded by trustee O'Connor. Roll call, please.
Trustee Kritzmeyer,
Aye.
trustee Michaud,
Aye.
trustee O'Connor,
Aye.
trustee O'Reilly,
Aye.
trustee Tanucci,
Aye. Oh, you want to speak?
trustee Borowski.
I like beer, yes.
Motion carried. All right, so I was asked, to table the next item. We're not ready for it yet.
Well, Jeff is still here,
Yeah, go ahead.
and I'm seeing Stemple reminded me.
Sure.
I'm not frequently in Stemple, but when I drive through Stemple, like when the bridge is closed or whatever, every time I have done it, which would be, I'm gonna say 5 or 6 times in the last 2.5 months, when I want to exit eastbound with, near where,
Old McHenry Road's Chatterbox? Oh, the Chatterbox, okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's an area for the trash bin, the dumpsters. Everybody seems to cluster their cars there. It's not a parking area. We've got the tape out, but there should be like no parking there because cars can't get through. And there's usually a box truck in the driveway that's unloading something, I think for Chatterbox or whatever. Maybe it's coincidental, but it's a proverbial quagmire.
can we ask Village Manager Jackson to look into that? Thank you.
I'll meet with the property owners.
Yeah. Yep. Anything else? All right, moving back to, go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Bill, any thought to refreshing the entrance signs to the Stemple parking lot? The lot's beautiful and the sign looks kind of tired. Just a thought.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
on it, they're on it. And then
Thank
plus
you.
it's not done yet exactly. There's a few things that need to be done in the
Yeah,
spring.
there's a widening of the apron over at Old McHenry Road, there's some adjustments and relocations of the signs, and then the either facelift or replacement of, I think, what Trustee Borowski's describing there, those gray Stemple lot signs that we need to, we've already talked about getting cleaned up.
Thank
We're
you.
gonna do that with checklist, or punch list, I'm sorry.
All right, thank you. Any more comments on Stemple? If not, we were asked by, village staff to table number 8. Not quite ready to,
We're ready, but some of the discussions we had on Saturday,
yeah.
that meeting was noticed up, and
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
they're gonna affect some of these numbers, so we'd like to have a not separated conversation.
Okay,
So it was ready, but then we had some discussions on Saturday.
okay, great memo, by the way. This is the most detailed I've seen yet. So, Everyone okay if we, table it? Sure. Okay. All right, moving, right along. The next item would be, presentation and discussion of the proposed fiscal year 2022 general infrastructure and other funds, budgets and revenue expenditures. So we have hard copies in front of us here. How do we proceed here on this one? Does somebody want to take us through this?
Okay, I just want
I'll chime in, you can, but I reviewed all of this with Greg and Denise, and did a couple of tweaks this morning, and I think they're reflected in what's in front of you, and basically asked them to, they've done a really super thorough job, I will say, by the way. They've been building on what Denise had built last year, which really, a lot of ticking and tying together. They've done an outstanding job, I think, in terms of really going through and making sure things are clarified, the accounts are there, working really good partnership with our accounting firm.
Great, thank you.
But
Thank you.
it was, the three of us, it was a joint effort, and, Denise, again, and Trustee Kritzmeyer, the foundation, it's my first budget, so, you know, I'm doing a little exploring and trying to understand things as I went along, and the help I got from.
Not your first goat rodeo, but your first long growth budget. Got it.
First line of goat rodeo.
We do not have a vanilla budget.
The approach we've taken on this budget is to provide a 3-year history, as well as the current year amended and projected. So we at least get a feel for the trends that have been happening. What's unique about this budget is that 2 of the 4 years that are presented are COVID years. So, and the other thing we're doing is consolidating lines, making corrections. There seem to be, with every budget, just to continue to use lines that were never had any funds in it, complicating the budget. So it's a lot of cleaning up of the budget, putting things in the right places, creating lines where lines didn't exist. So it's just a different approach. What you have in front of you are the proposed revenues and expenditures for the upcoming fiscal year, with some initial projections for your fiscal year ending 2022. It's our intent to take any input from the board this evening, bring it back into a draft form on April 12th, and providing public notice of the budget being available, and that the village board on April 12th, with this budget document accompanied by appropriate graphs, charts, and a narrative, as well as transmittal letter, will be provided for review and potentially adopted on the 12th, and short of any amendments that or corrections or modifications that the board wants to have made at that time.
So if I may interrupt, we'd like to finalize this at the next meeting.
So I noticed there was no dollars for pathways, and the road, budget didn't seem complete too, so has that been fixed?
There is, Denise can explain the roads, because Chickamauga and the other ones, we
Right.
talk about the MSP. There's a document.
Oh,
there.
there's a document that answers my questions, okay.
There was just some further clarification to be had about and I don't know if we want to talk about that now, or should we wait until?
No, it's basically.
You want to get through the general fund first? Yeah.
Okay, got it, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm rushing ahead to the capital, okay, keep.
So, the general fund, we're ending up showing a projected $3.4 million in revenue with a $2.8 million in expenditures. I will say this, I was extremely conservative in my projections, just to make sure that we didn't overextend ourselves. Expenditures, some gray area as to lean on the side of conservative projections, perhaps running with a run rate over the last 4 years. I chose to take the conservative approach, not on all, but on some. You'll see things like local use, where you see a significant reduction, and that's attributed to having no history or breakout on how internet sales tax was going to perform. We also saw some interesting increases in or projected some interesting numbers in income tax compared to the previous year, so we made some adjustments in that regard.
You see, the sales tax is interesting. During COVID, it went up 40%, and now it's gone back down, not completely reversed.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, we were lucky, but it went up 40% during COVID.
We've seen some adjustments and some are getting rid of some lines or sunsetting some lines that we found there was a line in the budget that Gaywalt is already performing, so we, through our accounting firm, can eliminate $20,000 out of that budget line. That is 672. We see some increases in information technology. Some of that to strengthen our information technology infrastructure, as well as to provide for a potential of us going to the cloud. Especially with, we're talking about it with BSNA. You'll see a significant jump in line 549.01 in the expenditures on the general fund. That reflects that $60,000 projected for the next fiscal year. Well, I'm sorry, requested to be budgeted for the next fiscal budget year is the number for the Mundaline contract, the intergovernmental agreement. We had started this fiscal year without that agreement.
What number is that?
That's up nearly at the bottom of the second page.
549 what?
.01.
Oh,
Nearly at the bottom of the second page, third up from the bottom.
okay, thank you.
So we didn't project that with, obviously at the beginning of this fiscal year, that governmental agreement wasn't complete until the end of the first quarter of this fiscal year. You'll see on the next page, I'm sorry, yeah. You'll see on the next page, along with the development services, 5.18, that $26,000 actually belongs up in the building and planning line that I just previously described. It was misplaced in that line as far as being charged in that account, so you see that come down to zero. We also made some adjustments in the communications line, residence communications line, not impacting the contract of our current service provider, but there were monies that were placed in there for postage for the mailing to the residents. We've just realigned that and placed it into in a proper line.
What equipment savings do we have, new leases, just out of curiosity?
Printer, copier?
Well, as a side note to the copier, we're expecting, based on Sherry's work on this, I asked staff Denise asked staff to go out and look at the copier services or printer services. And we've got 4 bids coming in, some of them are already received. We're looking at a 67% reduction in our cost.
Good. Good.
So it worked out well.
Thank you.
Good job. And, we do have money in the budget for traffic calming. So that is whatever decision the board makes in that regard.
The decrease in salt, have we stockpiled this year?
No, it's usage and it's the consortium dollar figures that we expect to come in at that cost. And you're talking about what's projected for?
I'm talking about what you budget, I didn't
Yeah.
ask about this earlier.
That number is not, that's not right.
That's not the right.
No,
Okay.
No, that should be 99,000,
Okay,
yes.
Where are you at? I'm sorry.
So it's 90, it's zero, I think,
No.
No, it's 26.
it's
or
20.
26,000, okay, got it.
Sorry, I was
Maybe average, yeah,
I was looking up.
there.
Okay, that seems more on
Oh,
track.
Yes, it'll be,
It's zero for 21, 22, okay, got
we
it.
haven't gotten the rates yet.
I was looking at the salt,
Okay.
But it should be.
I was looking at the salt and soft road rates where you had up.
Oh, yeah, no, the actual purchase, because there was one year where we got caught, and all of a sudden we had to buy, we got caught under and we had to buy high,
Yeah,
because we hadn't
Were you guys part of the IDOT consortium then?
I
Just
No, I don't
wondering.
think so.
Look at it, but Jerry figured out.
Jerry
but
may.
It wasn't IDOT, but right now we're in the process with the
Yeah.
county, so we'll find out those numbers
Yeah,
very soon.
something
So-
slipped through the cracks, or we just sort of underestimated, and so then we had to buy high because we had not contracted enough through the group buying.
We had an interesting meeting with Township to discuss snow removal in general, on how much salt that they would use, having a concern on if we're being conservative with our salt use. And they brought up some suggestions about brine, using brine, with trucks, having them outfitted, and they said it works very, very well for them. Their expenses have dropped dramatically, and they've seen a return on the investment for the equipment. So
Good.
we're gonna talk to our vendor and see what we can do along those lines as well.
I'm always, I don't think it's over, but, my street, like, my end is Long Grove and the rest is Buffalo Grove and Lake County. We're always, almost always better. And not like over the top, squeaky clean.
We were getting yelled at, I went out with a salt shaker.
The other thing that's interesting too is if you look at, Mark, I don't know how your HOA is, but I mean, our roads are always better than anywhere else. That was just interesting.
So we're gonna go back and tweak some of these numbers, give it to the board in advance, so the board can take a look. We saw a reduction in some of the personnel benefits, due to the change in staffing, so we saw some reductions in healthcare premiums, and, pretty hospitalization. This line, 451.00. You look at reductions, pretty significant. In, annual salaries, so.
I think that salary increase is quite conservative, honestly. I mean, in other areas, I've seen, services go up 8%. Seriously, and that's the low side. On my fund board, like, the stuff that came in for accounting for the funds, it was 8, 10, and 12%, so still a lot of wage inflation right now just to keep pace.
SHRM, I was looking at some of the data from, as well as pay scale, to see where the private sector, public sector, or private sector certainly on some of their retention issues are able to go 7, 8, 9%, some of their wage increases, but bottom, and I've had conversations, bottom has been somewhere around 3.5%, bottom of it, and the private and the public sector is looking at anywhere between 2.5% to 5% from what I'm getting on some of the research I've done so far, so.
I guess one thing I would say is we talked also about trying to ramp up some sort of a merit-based bonus system. How do we budget for that? Not to get ahead of what you're able to lead, so.
Yeah, it's, I've had conversation with staff about performance measures, implementing those. I got a much better sense of some things based on the work that happens Saturday, and the priorities of the board and how that should be reflected in our focus as a staff. So that will allow me to develop a performance measure system that will allow us also to work off of a merit bonus system. I have not included any dollars in there because I have to see what the measures are and that out. I would venture to guess that the board is going to accept a proposal for a merit system, a merit pay system, that I'd be able to come back to. We have some adjustments to the.
Now, and, April 2nd, or the end of fiscal year? End of fiscal year, so for next year it would be, are you anticipating that we go in this current fiscal year and next fiscal year budget?
I propose that it would go into this current budget.
Okay.
From what you've seen so far, Greg, do we have an adequate number of support staff here?
Yeah, I would tell you that we do exceptionally well with the staff that we have. Are we ready? Is there a need to hire up another part-timer or someone along that line for administrative support? Still evaluating that. I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. I just need to make sure we've got Natalie, who is in this 6-month, period, and we're just putting different assignments on her, so we're able to see what capacity she brings to the table, and she's done exceptionally well. Sherry has always been Sherry. Sherry's been Sherry. She's dependable, and, you know, you can rely on her to get things accomplished. But as we take on additional projects, both myself and Denise, and look to expand our economic development efforts and some other things, we may find additional support as a necessity to take some of the mundane, administrative, clerical type functions away from us. But still assessing.
I'd like to see where we can have technology take mundane,
Mm-hmm.
so that we free up, you know, human capital for more interesting and thoughtful things.
Off of our conversation on Saturday, we had a meeting with Margarita on Monday, and part of that conversation was, let's put together a full list of everything that BS&A does not do. Or that we don't think BS&A does. And that, either A, if it does, why aren't we trained on modules that we own?
Mhm.
And B, if it's not, what other alternatives are out there that can make our lives easier and make it more effective and efficient?
Right.
Yeah, we looked at it was a webinar, I believe last year, I think it was Granicus put it on, where they have their, an app where all the permits are automated. I think you and I both saw it.
I did not see it, I saw the initial, Margarita sat in on it. You guys, you should get a download from her on it. I think she felt it was slick, but it was also way simpler than many of our permits.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
part of the complication is some of the permits, some of the backs and forths, also dividing out the money. So the money that's non-refundable and the refundable.
Got it.
One,
Yeah, you're right, it was things like the dog, the tags for the dog and, you know, that was highlighted in that.
Bundle Link's currently working with OpenGov, and I know
Mhm.
last word I received was they were testing it in their finance department, and then it was gonna be moving over to the building department. It's our hope to turn around and potentially see how we may be able to connect with Mundelein
Right.
crossover. I'm meeting with the village administrator next month, to have discuss a number of things, that's one of them, so.
And where's the training in this? Not.
Development stuff, yeah, 563.
Okay, so third page. Depending what you understand, that may go up.
Oh, it will, we've already started talking about development and some software applications, spending some applications.
And that just seems smart for staff versus examining other people.
What's that, sorry?
Plus, it develops people.
Yes.
They get skills they've had.
And that was one of the things we felt very positive out of the workshop on Saturday, because it was pretty unified, Trustee Borowski, yourself, other members of the board, and saying, let's invest in our people with, spending some money on some development opportunities. We can go on to motor fuel tax. I'm going to turn this over to Denise, because she's been an aggressive person on trying to make sure these numbers are right from Wednesday to Sunday. So, the one thing that we did see, and I'll just give a creep to this, is that we are moving forward as we use motor fuel tax dollars to make sure the revenues are received and expended out of the same fund, that monies are not necessarily transferred to another fund, so that way we can just account for them within the same 17 fund. Denise?
So in front of you, I put an additional sheet that lays out the MFP, Rebuild Illinois. Those two funds are housed together. And then on the right side, I just put the roads budget account number, because something that, the resolutions for the Rebuild Illinois and MFT were separated. And, by resolution, MFT is allowed to spend that $543,912 by resolution. And then the entire amount of the Rebuild Illinois, the 17668. So the number that's in the current budget.
Does Chris and Bobby have a copy of this, Mitch?
No.
How do we get that?
Here, I could, send it.
I can take a picture.
Or?
You
I
don't,
have it.
you don't need it for me. I'll catch up with you guys after the meeting or,
Just keep going with the narrative.
Okay, we'll make sure that
Okay.
I'll send it to you.
yeah, thank you.
So what was in the current budget, you'll see that there's a 303,442 deficit. And so what I was digging into, there's a deficit there because there's a couple reasons. First is because that does not show the balance that is in the MFT account. You know, this is just revenues for this year. So if you look at the sheet that I gave you, the balance that we have, you start at the top, we have 600, and this is, approximate, but 653,381, and then we still have, some funds to take out for 375 for Kruger comes out of that. So we are actually left with a balance in our MFT Rebuild Illinois Fund of 278,381. So that's what you're not seeing in the other fund. And then the error is that the numbers that I received from Jeff, I thought that those numbers, we needed to add the 10% contingent number on that, but they were already embedded into those numbers. So we actually will have a $34,469 left in the MFT fund, Rebuild Illinois Fund, and those dollars cannot be used unless we put out another resolution saying we're going to use those excess dollars. So then the way this impacts the capital is the same thing over there. The numbers, and I put the current, what it looked like. Well, that was included 10% contingent in there. So I removed the 10% because that actually was kind of baked into those numbers already. So the difference is actually we'll have $40,000 more than we thought in the capital fund. So, and Jeff had explained to me that it's probably the best to not, the $34,000 that's left in the MFT fund, that we should probably just leave that alone and use the capital fund for those, the remaining portions, or that 10% contingent in the cap,
I'm not following what you just said.
So the portion, say that 10% that is baked in there.
Right.
9 out of 10 times that never gets used.
Understand.
So what we're saying is that, like, that 34,000 is sitting there, it's kind of like, well, why don't we use that? But I don't know if you want to explain that portion, Jeff, like why we wouldn't want to utilize.
We're trying to get approvals, right? So it'll mess that whole approval process up, right?
No, she's talking about, like when you get to construction, there's always that little line at the bottom of my recommendation letters that says, hey, let's budget 10% for something unforeseen. So what Denise is saying, that 10%, don't go to IDOT at this point and say we want to use MFT money for that. Wait until
See what the numbers are.
we see what the numbers
gotcha,
are,
yeah.
what the costs are, and then
Okay, got
Okay,
it.
we don't need to preemptively do that because we may have to undo it.
Right, exactly.
Got it.
Okay.
So this just is illustrating, kind of clarifying the two parts that, we can only put in the MFT and rebuild, by resolution, the amount that's on those resolutions, and then secondly, that 10% has been removed, because it was almost like it was double in there, so it was already in those numbers.
A bigger portion that needs to be noted, a bigger spotlight needs to be put on it, is that between the two funds, 30 and 17, we're going to end up doing Oak Drive, Oak Circle, and then we're also going to be doing Chickamauga and Port. So we're moving those road programs forward, the road maintenance programs forward, still ahead of schedule.
So where are you seeing the gap, Bill?
Well, I didn't see it, I didn't know this existed, right? Because where was it in here?
In the motor fuel tax.
And where's it in the motor fuel tax on this page?
No, this we just created.
Yeah, we just finished that today.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know where this is
okay,
here, right?
so that'll be put in there.
Okay, got it. That was my whole point, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be changed.
So,
And then when you go to
I'm not
30,
that clairvoyant, so.
when you go to Fund 30, on the infrastructure fund, the number of 494,780 will be reflected to be that 454,200.
Could you say that again, Greg?
Lower.
Yes, the money projected that, in the infrastructure fund for a road paving program is, on the document that I provided, was 494,780. After working through the numbers with Jeff, that number will come down to 554,200. And that's,
Thank you.
454,200.
454,200, thank you. And that's line, 88004 in, the infrastructure fund.
You gotta get page numbers on the bottom of this when you do.
Yeah, page numbers and dates.
Yeah, and for changes, right? Yeah, so that anytime it's updated, you can do that in Excel.
So, yeah, that's the sixth thing. Down.
Hey, Bill,
Yes.
just so you know, she never quit talking, but she sent it to me.
Oh. Excellent, thank you. Thanks for doing that. Way to go, Denise.
No,
So
Ann.
this, no, it was Ann.
Oh, Ann did it, Ann did it.
Ann
Okay,
did
got
it.
I
That's
didn't-
what I mean. She
Oh, that was-
never quit talking, but she still.
Oh, got it. She took the picture, I got it. Okay, thank you.
So we have money available for pathways. It's just not budgeted yet.
We'll take it.
Let's have a plan.
However,
Well,
that's what I'm
So,
looking for.
so you need to do so you had the priority map that you showed me, so I don't know if you guys can figure out what's that segment that makes the most sense and propose it, right? Yeah,
Can that priority map be updated with an annotation? Because right now it's got like, priorities 1, 2, 3, 4. And even within 1, 2, 3, and 4, it really doesn't say what this is or how much it costs or.
Right, because, it costs money to get those numbers. And we need that, we need.
How much?
We have the
And
pathway.
we need to decide
What would it cost to do, we did the road study so we could prioritize the road.
but they have a priority list, too.
But it's not that
I'll
grand.
show it to you.
Yeah,
I'll show you mine, show me.
My recollection of the history on the paths and the way they were bucketized into priority groups was that because we weren't sure if we could have a developer come in or or something in a particular area change that wasn't in our control. At that time, we would try to negotiate with the developer to go ahead and put those particular paths in if they were in that group of one priority, so that's why we didn't really pick one, but rather we had groups of paths that were highlighted.
but if I think before Jim Hoag left, Rita had a meeting and kind of took where we were at and then put an updated map together. I don't know if that's the one you're referring to, but she did it, a year ago now or something like that, or not even?
Yeah, I would say a year, it was well before Jim left.
Yeah, well before Jim left, like a year ago. So that might be a little bit different than your recollection.
Oh, that
Going
could
back.
be. Yep.
Because I was on the pathway committee, 6 years ago.
Okay, thank you.
I don't want to create a whole lot of it, but somehow could the rest of us get updated on what's the current status of
I agree.
priorities and discussion?
Yep.
Sure.
Yep. Works for me.
We, go next to infrastructure, number 30. A couple things I want to point out there is that, you see line 349.08, projected revenue of $537,834. That brings our revenue. We will receive another $537,834 in year 22-23. Already talked about allocating some of that money for structural and infrastructure improvements here at Village Hall, as well as to look at other opportunities where
It's labeled SLF, but it's really ARPA. That's a Debbie thing.
I don't know, I can't remember
It's a secret code.
yeah.
Okay.
So Greg can't find the money. Yeah.
But,
Translating for everybody else.
but it's not times two, is it that much? It's times two, 537, or is the next one's gonna be slightly less? Wasn't
No, we're gonna get
it almost 1.1 million?
1.06.
1.06, okay, good.
We talked about that Saturday, correct?
Yeah, but I didn't think it was, I was over 1 million, I didn't think it was closer to 1.1, yeah.
The next item I want to point out is the road signs and traffic calming and the infrastructure. We have 25,000 there. Also, there's capital improvement, line 850.10, money for water system improvements. That should be coming out of the operation fund at the water department, so we're just going to eliminate that line. Water SSA, number 50, water SSA fund. Number in the budget area is 95,400, so that'll be increased off of the numbers of the SSA. We also, myself and Trustee Kritzmeyer, looked at line 72000 on the expenditures, and we see low numbers, 5-digit numbers in fiscal years 19, 20, and 21. We see in fiscal year 20, ending 22 to a 4.35 number. That's actually the number of the principal and the interest that is paid. Just have it here listed as interest. So we're going to separate those two lines. And for next year, we're anticipating for fiscal year 23, there'll be 44,175 in interest and 65,000 in principal.
And the projection for this year is 108,825, that is the number.
Right, but we will probably, as we go back and make the tweaks to this budget, do the separation of those lines this year. So we have the separation, it'll be 448,825 in interest and 60,000 in principal.
That's a bond that's outstanding, privately placed, and it's also a candidate for refinancing at some point too. Was not gonna send our interim village manager through that.
The 51 operation fund, the enterprise fund, numbers are pretty much received from Jeff and their operation, their staff over there. So we're gonna take one more look at those numbers before we present the final copy to the village board for action.
Can I ask you a dumb question? Why did we not depreciate last year? There was no depreciation, but this year we have depreciation. We don't do it every year? And the reason I ask that, because when you take out the depreciation, you're much closer to a break even.
Yeah, 27, yeah, 27,000 then.
Yeah.
I can't remember if there was a decision made with Bill and Ann, I can't remember.
I don't know that we put that in terms of forecasting that, but when we do the audit, it will end up being a year-end true, like, we will have to.
Okay. Yeah, it's just interesting.
I mean, it's depreciation, it's not real money, but it is.
I know it is,
Money, but
right. When we depreciate, though, we don't put the money anywhere.
what we have is the water operations fund should be covering itself, and it
Right.
isn't.
Right.
We do have that water SSA, which technically helped build some of the capital. That has been building up some surplus. That could be eligible to use for capital replacement, which is really
Right.
what depreciation should do.
So
It's just a different fund.
Okay.
152, the downtown water SSA fund, taking those numbers off, the SSA, it's 26,636. We'll have the amended and adopted numbers based off the schedule. Review with the board, we just didn't have it in there now. There has not been any expenditures out of there for fiscal years ending 19, 20, and 21, at least not from the reports I reviewed. Open space fund.
Oh, we talked about this has to be adjusted too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So,
So
yeah,
we're just,
okay.
Yeah.
And then, 61, the TIF fund, we're.
Can we stop there for a second?
Sure.
So before the next meeting, I don't know, on.
Yeah, and it will have to be, it'll actually be next week. We've already got scheduled to
Okay.
discuss because the final budget needs 10 days of public notice.
Okay,
So that needs to be noticed up by April 2nd.
by April 2nd, okay.
The,
But we can still, even though we notice it up, we can still make a change.
Yep,
Yeah, so, okay, got it.
yep. And we can make a change on April 12th in public meeting.
Right. Okay,
the, downtown TIF fund. Had to receive some numbers with the Denise and I are gonna clean some numbers up with the review with Debbie. The other thing that Trustee Kritzmeyer and I discussed today, and yeah, that's what, we need to create a separate fund for the Southgate TIF district this year.
Uh-huh.
So we'll be creating a 62 fund, we will add to this document for the, for the review on the 12th.
What's gonna happen, we already have expenditures for South Gateway that we pay Tesla for, you know, helping to do the evaluation, some legal, a little bit of audit. So what'll happen is, they'll probably come out of general fund, which will increase general fund reserves, will probably, when that happens.
can I ask a dumb question about the numbering? I mean, so SSAs are on the 60 series, is that what it is? You just said we're gonna create a 62,
62 TIF.
62 TIF?
Yeah.
But, why did we create the number?
I don't know.
Yep, that would be a Stan Boris question. 'Cause
Oh, okay, got it. I just was thinking about, we're gonna have a 62 fund, well, we have a 77 fund, I don't know.
Yeah,
When it's put in, maybe you
Sorry.
can talk to Debbie, but.
Yeah, we were looking through all those numbers and I was like, how did this get here?
Okay, got it, never mind. Yeah.
So we'll put that together. Something that I know I'm gonna get asked, and looking at, you'll see I made some adjustments to the, Bob will cover his ears. I made some adjustment to the, legal expenditures in the budget. We experienced some increase in expenditures in things in the budget. And, as near as I can attribute it based on looking at some past invoices, a lot of that was due to the transition with, the greater reliance on legal support and the absence of the village manager and then the interim village manager. So, we would expect that would come back to staffing changes.
Any questions?
They can't go on vacation next year.
That's why you did it today.
Yeah, if you want me to.
Do we get a lower rate if Vic's on vacation?
No.
Oh, all right.
We get a lower rate when Vic sings.
I will chip in if it sings.
All right, any questions on the budget, any other comments? Chris, Bobby? No? Can we move on?
Sir.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is President and Trustee reports. I'm just gonna report out on two things. One is the third Route 53 Task Force took place last week on March 14th. I did see there's meeting minutes published now, and I had sent a memo part of the meeting to correct IDOT. They labeled the soccer field as Long Grove soccer field as their property when they did the review, and I didn't quite understand what they were doing. So that's in the minutes, that it's been corrected, that IDOT incorrectly identified one of the parcels that's owned by Long Grove as property that they own. In this meeting, there were two presentations that were made. The first one was from Open Lands, who presented this GIS mapping tool that we've had access to for a while. It's a great interactive tool. In fact, if you saw one of my HOA president's meetings, I used that tool to kind of show the property that's owned by IDOT and so forth. But it's, you can click on different boxes and, get different, sensitive drainage areas and conservancy areas, et cetera. The second presentation was by Barbara Klipp, and she did she discussed, why we should be making the Route 53 corridor, a greenway type trail. But then she also talked about, she used the Chicago lakefront as an example, how it was preserved in the late 1800s. And when you go into Chicago and you look at that lakefront, it's beautiful, right? That was done a long time ago. And she said that we have the same situation before us right here, where we could preserve this beautiful area that has all this nature and, the conservancies, trees, et cetera, and do the same thing. And she got into discussions about, the economic benefits of it, stormwater management, protecting the native vegetation and so forth. And I don't know if I'm doing justice to this, Rita, you said on the call or not, but that's kind of what, it was a great presentation. What we could do, if it's easier, is I could ask you to post some of this on our, put a folder on this,
That'd be fabulous.
so that you can go in and look at some of the materials up there. They do a great job of
Yeah.
meeting minutes and all the materials, and I probably was thinking about trying to do that before the meeting, and I didn't get it done. So I don't know, Rita, if you have any comments or I missed anything.
Well, just accolades to the Michelles for half of the gorgeous photographs that were in that presentation.
Oh, who put those,
They're my photos.
oh, those are your photos, okay. Yeah, they're awesome photos, and,
Some were from the photo contest,
okay.
and, I think at least 50% of them were contributed by Jenny and Nick.
I think just creating a whole corridor for wildlife migration too, is something that you can't do in pieces.
Really jacks up your home price.
Yeah,
Interesting point to talk about Chicago lakefront. Has anybody's ever seen the waterfront in Manhattan?
yeah.
It's a contrast.
Yeah.
Are these your pictures, some of these pictures? Yeah, so these were there's a whole, I printed it.
And
Yeah.
the statistics that go, rather than do a presentation with verbal statistics, the presentation had to do really with an overview of
Yeah.
why is this important? What does it mean to us and future generations? And then the packet that we could download in addition is the hard numbers.
Yeah, there's a whole, Word document in the back of it, right, that has, all the detail too, so. All right, we'll make sure that gets
The
posted.
research, a lot of
Research.
research.
Yeah. All right, thank you for that. My next item, I said there were two, was just, there's a Vernon Township Energy Commission, meeting tomorrow night, so I do plan to attend. It's virtual, so I'll be online at 6:30, so I'll attend. The Vernon Township
Yeah.
Energy Commission, I'm gonna attend the next meeting tomorrow night.
What are you learning?
They hired a consultant that we really can't take advantage of, that they wanted us to sign a intergovernmental agreement with them, or no, a MOU kind of agreement. Memo of understanding. And, the problem is that what this consultant's gonna do is go look at, our buildings and things like that, where we could save energy using solar and so forth, but we don't really have a whole lot of village-owned buildings where we can take advantage of it, so, we're not gonna do that. But this next one tomorrow will be more from the University of Illinois, talking about how residential, buildings and, residents can take advantage of some of the things that are out there. So hopefully I'll learn something tomorrow. But the first part was more, if you had a big public works department and you were gonna go, battery, EV on all of those, the fleet and everything else, then it makes sense, but we don't, and you have a bunch of public buildings, we're a limited government with very limited.
Will there be a packet for the residents? It would be great if we could post that and share that, not just for us, but residents.
I hope there is, that's in the very first meeting is what I had talked about. I said I'm more in it for what we could do for our residents, right? So hopefully we'll see some of that tomorrow. We haven't seen it yet. That's the end of my report. I'll turn it over to who's next on the list, Trustee Borowski.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Trustee Kritzmeyer.
We had the, dual NIPS, meeting, joint review board meetings last Thursday, 7 a.m., noticed up. we had 3 taxing body attendees via Zoom, the fire chief, the new fire chief, Paul Segala, the director of the the director of the Vernon Library, and the controller for College of Lake County. Nothing really eventful that I would say. Went through the numbers and what was happening. The controller noticed that we had nothing for South Gateway, which was correct, because it was only 4 months. This was for the fiscal year ended last April, because that's what we have audited financials for, so we'll try and get more timely on that. So the next one will have an actual, financials and a state, there's a filing that goes to the state that answers a lot of question and includes the financials, and so we'll have to file that one also for the second TIF next year. So I would say it occurred. We talked about there have been conversations, not a lot of projects over the last year, although finishing up, obviously in the downtown, and that we have no projects right now, but conversations ongoing on the South Gateway TIF. Good report, unless there are any questions.
You did a great job.
She did do a great job, yep. All right, thank you. Thanks for that report, Trustee Michel.
The only thing, I'd hope to have a little bit more information. I've requested it. I sat in on a presentation at the Morton Arboretum about a Chicago Region Carbon Program where we could potentially qualify to grow trees and get money for it. So I'm waiting on information to see if we qualify and hopefully share that with everybody at the next meeting.
Thanks for
Is
attending.
that something for municipal government or for residents?
Both. Yeah, they do, right now the Lake County Forest Reserve is part of it.
Bless you.
But individuals have, I think if it, so there's 2 programs. There's a planting project where you actually have to plant a certain number of trees. And then there's also a preservation. So if you have, I don't remember what the acreage minimum was, but potentially our park district could qualify for it. And that's if you're maintaining your trees, you're getting rid of buckthorn, you have to peg your trees, you have to commit to being in the program for a certain period of time. The Morton Arboretum's really excited about it, and they're looking for 5 really smaller communities to kind of pilot the program in the Chicago suburbs. So I'm hoping we qualify.
How can we help you with that to qualify?
I just need to get information. I reached out, and I'd hope to get kind of more specifics to see if, so I'm just waiting for them to push me the application to see if we meet their criteria.
Okay, good. Thank you. Anything else?
Nothing. That's the end of report.
Thank you. Trustee O'Connor?
I have no report.
Trustee O'Reilly?
We're beginning the pre-planning for a celebration at Strawberry Fest, probably the Thursday before boy, that's a sick room. Everybody's coughing.
Yep.
I think we raised the dust in here. It has been laying so long.
I suddenly I don't know what happened, but I assure you it's not COVID.
So September or June, I think it's the 23rd, a dedication of the bridge, a dedication of the park, and all of the things that we began 2 years ago.
You planning to do it at Strawberry?
The day before.
The day before, okay, got it. Cool.
I don't want to tempt fate, Bobby, but the last time we had a big bridge celebration, it got hit 23 hours later.
Well, the last time we planned this event, we got COVID. So, maybe we should not celebrate this. But we're going forward anyway.
All right, thanks, Bobby. Anything else?
Nope.
If I could.
Yeah.
Just bounce off of that. What is our thinking, if any, on something to thank the residents who graciously granted us easements for the pathway, the new Coffin pathway, which happened like just before winter set in. So we don't have to do anything, but graciously said, yeah, you can have an easement, which I thought was.
Can we make that part of that?
I couldn't hear what she was saying.
So Bobby's saying that,
Rita.
Rita saying that the new pathway that was put in, those residents along that way, the one that connects the downtown to Sunset, they graciously gave their own property or gave easements on their property for that pathway. And she said, maybe, what can we do to thank them, or perhaps make that part of this celebration as well?
Or a nice thank you on good paper or signed by people with pictures,
Yeah, that'd work too,
Yeah.
There's a, it doesn't have to be an official ribbon cutting or anything, but,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, the office building was part of that as well. The lady who showed up religiously and
So
graciously.
Greg said he will take the action item to follow up on that one.
Sherry's all on it.
All right. All right. Bobby, anything else?
Nope.
Thank you for that. Trustee Tanucci?
I have nothing tonight.
All right, thank you for that report. Village Manager Jackson?
Couple things very quickly. The pruning of the trees, ComEd has had their crews out already. They initially told our government affairs liaison it wasn't gonna happen until May. The day they started pruning, they said that they wouldn't happen until April to our arborist. In the meantime, on another phone is a citizen who's saying, hey, they're cutting down the trees on Old Hicks. We sent out the arborist had them cease. They will not be resuming until Monday. And we are in the process of, I think we've already sent out notifications, and we'll send it out a few more times just to make sure. I've engaged Urban Forestry to do a check periodically through the day to make sure they're not cutting anything they're not supposed to cut. So, in your package, I asked staff, after coming back from our workshop, to do analysis going back 3 years on permits, and any of those permits that were issued were a fail on inspection, first time out. Initial thoughts were that the numbers were going to be much higher. It turns out that 82% of people pulling a permit passed their inspection first time out. That's a significantly positive number, to be quite honest, and I'm checking with other municipalities to see if they like data and have a true comparison as to how we're performing. With that, taking what I did out of the workshop, as I said earlier, we've had discussions about how we advance our use of technology in order to streamline the permit process and the inspection process. We are also taking a look at previous reports and data that was gathered by Trustee Nora at the time. President Jacob provided that information to both myself and Trustee Tanucci. I'm looking at that data, and there's some things in there that just need to be tweaked for total cost of operations, a true cost on our overhead, so we make sure we're not missing anything, but the foundation of the report was pretty strong. So we're starting to look at dollars to see if where we can turn around and potentially reduce our costs on some of the permits. I will also say that staff made a conscious decision prior to my arrival to turn around and find a way to do partial improvements or approvals, so they didn't totally reject somebody on an inspection. If they had part of what they needed to have done, they passed them on that, so they wouldn't have to go back on a second inspection on that. But you would still go back on the other items that would be required, making life safety issues a priority. So we're still working on that. It was a great takeaway from the meeting. Also, on behalf of staff, myself and staff, thank you again to the board for doing that workshop. There's a lot of great takeaways for us out of there.
I have a question about that. Did I understand correctly that you would like to make some changes to Chuck Nora's report?
No, what I'm saying is I'm using it as a foundation, but I'm making some tweaks as to some costs that were not included in there. It's not just simply, for example, he put Margarita's salary as the building commissioner as the overhead costs. There are additional overhead costs like workers' compensation, things like that weren't factored into the total cost.
So I'll need to talk with you about that, because I'll be picking that report up again and presenting it monthly.
And along those lines, I actually need a copy of the spreadsheet, I only have the PDF.
And then, you know, I went back and looked at the emails, we may have to, I don't know if you can recreate it, but go back to Chuck, because all he sent to us was PDFs. I was copied on them all.
Yeah, we can convert PDFs into actual spreadsheets.
Can I ask why?
There are formulas in the spreadsheets too.
Oh,
So you can't get that out of the
Yeah.
Oh, what, I'm sorry?
Can I mean, just asking, but why would you do that versus staff?
because I was asked to.
Just asking.
Is that something staff should do? Chuck Nora was doing it, so I don't know what's right or wrong.
Honestly, I think they do too much on finance. From a board perspective, we should be doing policy and oversight and asking hard questions versus giving answers. That's my view. I am not slamming you. I know that right now, we have a small staff, so that's why I'm just asking. We have small staff, so it's.
We're gonna plug away at the data and we're gonna see what we come up with. We need to get a true cost. If we're gonna turn around and say, this is what our permits are gonna cost, we need to have what our true overhead is. So we're gonna do that with.
I'm assuming that, all help is welcome, so. That came across as harsh, I'm sorry, that's just not what I.
No, you're good. No, you're just saying that village staff should probably do the bulk of it, but that doesn't mean that Trustee Tanucci can't help out.
Oh, totally.
For, thought in there, so.
Thank you for interpreting.
Yes.
The screening project, I had conversation with Randy Seebach over at Lake County Forest Preserve. We're walking the site on April 15th. That's the screening project that the board approved.
Yep.
By Buffalo Creek Park. So we already have the diagrams and the layouts on the plantings. They are what was agreed to by the board. But the agreement was that staff would walk out there and make sure everything was going to be where they say it was gonna be, so we'll be doing that.
Not making you plant it though, right?
I'm not planning.
Oh, okay, just checking.
Anything I plant dies, that's not good. Two more things. May 28th is a Blue Star Memorial dedication at Buffalo Creek Park. The Garden Club of Lake Zurich Long Grove.
That one, yeah.
Long Grove Killdeer Garden Club.
Killdeer, thank you, Ken. The Garden Club has asked for some support on this. We've arranged for Eula Township to do the installation. Eula Township has agreed to do the installation and store the memorial. It has to be installed and do it at no cost.
Yeah.
They're doing it as an intergovernmental courtesy. And then I'm working with the pastor at Long Grove Community Church to provide singers to do some songs and for the pastor to do benediction. So that's in the works. That's our contribution, and it's been a pleasure to work with them. Last thing is I'm with the fire department tomorrow, the fire chief. We are talking the connection and the tap into the municipal water for the fire department, as well as they're looking to expand their facility, adding a garage to the back. We've been working with them on that, and they're going to replace the sign out in front of the firehouse. I was concerned that they were gonna ask for an electronic sign. They are not. It appears to be a stone monument sign. So I'll be working with them on that. Myself and Chief Segal are meeting tomorrow morning. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Any questions, for Greg?
I either had a lapse in listening or whatever. May 28th, the Garden Club, what's happening?
They are the Blue Star. It's a Blue Star Memorial to honor service members, military service members. I'm sorry?
Where is it?
They're going to erect it in Buffalo Creek Park. I will get the exact location in the park that it's going to be.
When you walk in the park off of Old McHenry, the path curves to the right, and when it meets the path that will eventually go to the gazebo, it's right there at that intersection. There's a bench there also.
Got it, okay, now I got it.
And we're just waiting for confirmation on the time. They just gave me confirmation on the date.
That's great, that's nice.
Any other questions for Greg? If not, it's a review of the February 2022 Treasurer's Report. 123 budget covered now, right? So, which is great, keeps going up.
It's also in anticipation of construction season, but.
Go back down?
Yeah, we don't need to actually take action. It's like, we're basically saying we'll accept it, and then staff forwards it on. So I would move that we accept the monthly treasurer's report unless there's any question.
Any questions? If not, it's moved by trustee Kritzmeyer, second by trustee O'Connor. I guess roll call, please.
Trustee O'Connor,
Aye.
trustee O'Reilly,
Aye.
trustee Tanucci,
Aye.
trustee Borowski,
Aye.
trustee Kritzmeyer,
Aye.
trustee Michelle.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Approval of the board meeting minutes from the March 8th, 2022 meeting. Are there any recommended changes? If not, I'd be looking for a motion to approve. Moved by trustee O'Connor, second by trustee Michelle. Roll call, please.
Trustee O'Reilly,
Abstain?
trustee Tanucci,
Aye.
trustee Borowski,
Aye.
trustee Kritzmeyer,
Aye.
trustee Michelle,
Aye.
and trustee O'Connor.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. I would like somebody to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Can we go with Bobby there?
Sure.
All right, so moved by trustee O'Connor, seconded by trustee O'Reilly. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Good night,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody. Have a good night.